We make mistakes. We see the results.
The temperance movement didn't just start up one day out of the blue, but there were many pre-existing issues that led to its start. One of these issues was that it caused many health problems for those who would be intoxicated on more than one occasion. These health problems consisted of heart disease, poorer brain function, and liver problems. Also, back then, many children consumed alcohol as well, for there was no age restrictions. Another problem was that alcohol was affecting families. It caused many drunk husbands to get in fights with their wives, and their children could have been affected as well. Also, in extreme cases, many families would go broke because of the high prices at the saloons. Lastly, many people believed alcohol was against religion. These people referred to alcohol as the devil's nectar, for they believed who drank it was unholy. On the other hand, for those who were a little bit less extreme, they just believed that heavy drinking was a sin. In the temperance movement, there were many key people who got the movement started and contributed to the cause. One of them, Frances Willard, is shown here. Frances Willard became president of the Women's Christian Temperance Union in 1874, which was a group well known for organizing prohibition events in the early United States. She was known for lecturing people all over the country about alcohol, pressing for prohibition candidates, and known for finally banning liquor throughout the United States. And after many more accomplishments, she was promoted to the National Women's Christian Temperance Union, for as you can see here, she was a big face of the movement. Another very important person was William E. Johnson. He was the leader of the Anti-Saloon League, and previously he created and published his own temperance newspaper, and then within the Anti-Saloon League, he edited their paper as well. Also, he edited the Standard Encyclopedia of the Liquor Problem. With all of these accomplishments combined, he was one of the great contributors to the temperance movement. Another key figure was Lyman Beecher. He was well remembered for preaching 6 famous sermons about temperance, but his legacy lived on through his children. For example, his son Henry Ward Beecher was an abolitionist preacher. Also, his daughter, Harriet Beecher Stowe, was the author of Uncle Tom's Cabin. An important piece of literature during the temperance movement was called The Temperance Movement, or The Conflict Between Man and Alcohol, by Henry William Blair. This novel went into detail on the many different organizations of the time and what they did. Also, it showed what problems people had with alcohol and how they can be properly educated on it. Another important piece of literature was Spirits of Defiance by Kathleen Drone. This was the first book to examine how Americans responded to the far-reaching effects of the 18th Amendment, and it portrayed many characters from the time, and also showed how Americans defied or supported the cause. The major anti-alcohol groups used many persuasive tactics to enforce what they were fighting for. One of these major groups was the Women's Christian Temperance Union. This video I would now like to show gives a little background information on them.
In the United States, the same women that had crusaded for equal rights had for years championed another cause, prohibition. In 1874, the many women's societies pledged to temperance had joined forces in the Women's Christian Temperance Union. The passage of the 18th Amendment, prohibiting the sale of alcoholic beverages in the United States, was their victory, a victory gained even before the vote.
So as you can see from the video, the Women's Christian Temperance Union was a very successful group led by Frances Willard. What made them very successful was doing everything from protesting outside of saloons to going around the country recruiting new members. All in all, this made the Women's Christian Temperance Union one of the most successful groups of the temperance movement. Another one of the important groups that used many persuasive tactics was the Anti-Saloon League. This group was known for trying to get a constitutional law to ban alcohol, but the Women's Christian Temperance Union beat them to it. Even though they were not known as the official group to get the 18th Amendment to pass, their efforts did not go to waste. They ended up being known for uniting many major companies together to enforce the movement, which led to a lot of advertisement. Also, when the bill was passed, they enforced it greatly. The last major persuasive tactics of the temperance movement were random newspaper ads, political cartoons, and street protests. Overall, my evaluation of the movement was that it was a success in the short term, but a failure in the long term. This was because the change did not last very long, since the 18th Amendment was shortly repealed after it was passed. I believe there are not many similar issues today because we have many more restrictions on alcohol than they did back then. And, if I were alive back then, I feel I would not have taken part in this movement. This is because I feel I would have been too young to understand its full meaning, would not have understood the full effects of alcohol, and would not have been interested in going down to street corners and protesting every day. However, that being said, I would have liked to know more about why so many people were drawn to the movement, how the mafia took advantage of the movement, and why the movement didn't stay in effect for a long time.